Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving straight into a fascinating and honestly pretty unsettling look at the significantly underreported science behind female serial killers. When we think of a serial murderer, a very specific, almost always male profile pops into our heads. But as you'll see, the empirical data tells a much more complex and frankly terrifying story. Listen to this chilling quote from 1901. "You and I will have a lot of fun seeing them die." That was actually spoken by Jane Toppin. She was a nurse who confessed to 31 murders, though it's believed she might have poisoned up to 100 of her own patients. Hearing something like that just grips you, doesn't it? It completely validates that natural, almost morbid curiosity we all share about humans capable of such extreme violence. Section 1. Morbid curiosity and hidden killers. So let's get right into it. Why exactly are we so deeply captivated by macabre and horrifying things? Like, why do we binge true crime or flock to movies about serial killers when the subject is just inherently repulsive? Well, evolutionary psychology suggests our morbid fascination is actually a highly adaptive trait. Think about it. In our ancestral environments, it made complete sense to pay very close attention to things that could harm or kill us. Being captivated by danger literally facilitated our survival. Plus, on a biological level, some of us are just sensation seekers. We actually enjoy the rush that adrenaline, norepinephrine, and dopamine create in our bodies when we get a good scare. But here's the thing, our fascination has a massive blind spot. The public easily recognizes male serial killers. Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, they're household names. But the names of female killers, they remain largely unknown. I mean, sure, there's Aileen Wuornos, but her crimes actually don't fit the typical female pattern at all. Names like Belle Gunness or Amy Archer Gilligan probably don't ring a bell for most of us. And this is despite the shocking reality that about 1 in 6 serial killers is a woman, which actually mirrors general homicide trends. Society just kind of assumes women are incapable of committing these heinous acts. And unfortunately, society is dead wrong. Section 2. Profiling the lethal ladies. So who exactly are these lethal ladies? To figure this out, we're drawing from some absolutely fascinating empirical research by evolutionary psychologist Dr. Marissa Harrison and her team. They studied 64 female serial killers in the United States to finally decode their behavior, and the data paints an alarming picture. These women do not fit the stereotype of a loner lurking in the shadows. Quite the opposite, really. They hide right in plain sight. The study found they were largely middle and upper class, of average to above average attractiveness, and get this, many had actually earned college or professional degrees. The mean age of their first murder was 32, and staggeringly, they operated completely undetected for an average of 7 years before finally being caught. 7 years. Section 3. The chilling statistics. Now, the data completely shatters our preconceived notions of how these killers operate. The behavioral blueprint of a female serial killer is just wildly different from a male's. One striking finding from the study is the role of psychological health. Nearly 40% of these women experience some form of mental illness. To put that into perspective, that's significantly higher than the general population estimate, which sits around 1 in 4. These illnesses ranged all over the place, including PTSD, various personality disorders, bipolar disorder, and Munchausen syndrome by proxy. That last one is a horrifying disorder where a caretaker purposely makes a dependent sick just to gain attention and sympathy. And it gets worse when we look at who they target. Female serial killers largely prey on people who have absolutely no chance of fighting back. Over 50% of the killers in the study murdered children, half of them, and almost 44% committed the ultimate betrayal by murdering their very own children. On top of that, about a quarter of them targeted older or ill adults. They are zeroing in exclusively on the vulnerable. The proximity to these victims is what's truly chilling. Unlike male serial killers who typically go out hunting strangers, an overwhelming 92% of these women knew their victims. Nearly 2/3 were actually related to the people they killed. So how did they get so close? Well, they frequently used trusted positions. About 40% worked in healthcare-related fields, like nursing, and 22% were in direct caregiving roles. Think babysitters or stay-at-home mothers. They were literally killing the exact helpless people they were entrusted to care for. And their terrifyingly quiet method of choice? Poison. It's clean, it's quiet, and it perfectly mimics natural illness. That's a huge reason why they managed to evade detection for those average 7 years we talked about. Oh, and their most common motive? It isn't sexual gratification like it often is with men. It's financial profit. Cold, hard cash. Section 4. Hunters versus gatherers. So we have to ask, why is there such a massive, fundamental divergence between male and female serial killers? Why do men hunt strangers for sex, while women poison acquaintances for money? Well, the research proposes that these crimes actually reflect ancestral evolutionary tendencies, just acting out in a completely distorted way. Throughout human evolution, men sought multiple reproductive opportunities. Fast forward to today, and male serial killers exhibit aberrant hunting behaviors, stalking strangers for sexual gratification. Women, on the other hand, evolved to secure resources to promote the survival of themselves and their offspring. So female serial killers exhibit aberrant gathering behaviors. They are quietly collecting resources, primarily money, from the vulnerable people already clustered around them. Now, you're probably wondering, if female serial killing stems from this deeply evolved drive to protect offspring and gather resources, why on earth would a mother kill her own kids? It seems totally backwards, right? Well, Dr. David Buss theorizes that killing a child isn't an evolved trait at all. Instead, it's a catastrophic malfunction of those deep-seated psychological mechanisms. Normal behaviors lie somewhere in the middle ground, but extremes happen when these evolved mechanisms operate at heavily exaggerated or heavily reduced levels compared to normal behavior. Basically, something in their psychology has just short-circuited entirely. Section 5. Predicting the unpredictable. As we unpack all these grim patterns, we're left trying to figure out how to use this data to identify these lethal ladies before they actually strike. The short answer, we can't perfectly predict who will become a serial killer. Not yet. But we're no longer completely in the dark. Understanding their motives, their backgrounds, and especially those high rates of mental illness we discussed really underscores the absolute necessity of early psychological intervention. We urgently need expanded mental health research and treatment, because if we can recognize these behavioral malfunctions early on, we might eventually have a real shot at developing preventative strategies. As science continues to dissect the minds of these hidden predators, it leaves us with a heavy yet vital question to chew on. With these hidden patterns finally brought out into the light, can we ever truly predict the unpredictable before the next lethal lady strikes? It's a daunting challenge for sure, but exposing these realities is a crucial first step. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.